This week on the show, Brent Marks joins to talk about changes within his sprint car team, his opinion on the new high limit racing rules that were put in place this offseason, and his new bright yellow sprint car wrap, all in this week's edition of the High Limit Room. Before we get to Brent Marks, let's talk about a few things that have happened with high limit racing over the last week or two. The big announcement last week, Interstate Batteries is the new title sponsor for high limit racing in 2026 and beyond. They sign a multi-year partnership with FloRacing and High Limit Racing, the series, and they will be the new title sponsor of the series going forward. It is incredible to have a brand that's been around since 1952, been a sponsor in NASCAR for 35, 36 years, and now they are diving headfirst into the dirt racing game as the title sponsor of America's most watched dirt racing series. So welcome Interstate Batteries to High Limit Racing for 2026. Also, we need to talk about some rule changes that come to the series for 2026 as well. The first one is concerning the provisionals. Of course, with the series, you have full-time drivers. If those full-time drivers, if a few of them, let's say, are unable to make the A-main, they do get a provisional, 3 of them for each driver throughout the season. But in 2026, there's only going to be allowed to be 2 provisionals per race. So in the past, we've seen provisionals, maybe 4 or 5 guys will take a provisional and you'll have a 30-car field or a 31, 32-car field. We've seen it several times over. You will not see that in 2026 and beyond. Only 2 provisionals per night are allowed with high limit racing going forward. The other rule that we need to talk about as well is the work area time. From now on, the only time you get a guaranteed 1 minute of work area time is when you have a flat tire in a race. And there's no guarantee time on the dash, but you do get work area time in the feature, of course, and throughout some of the other events throughout the night. Besides the dash, you need to have a flat tire. That's the only way that you are going to get that guaranteed time. Now, you can still go to the work area if you have other kind of damage. You just will not get that guaranteed 1 minute of work area time. So that is something to try and speed up the show. We've seen several times in the past where, you're in the work area for 5-6 minutes, it feels like, when different cars come in and reset the timer. You will not see that nearly as much unless multiple guys have flat tires. So keep that in mind when you're watching the races this upcoming year. And the other big change is no more cone on the front straightaway for single file restarts. So as you've seen, that cone that's hooked to the rope, that is not going to be a thing anymore. That cone has been moved back to turn 4. It'll be in the infield. As soon as the drivers get to that cone, they can go and try and make passes and all that stuff. They don't need to worry about hitting a cone or going below a cone or whatever it is on the front straightaway. That has been taken away. Now, to clarify, there will still be double file restarts with high limit racing, but in an instance where there is a single file restart due to contact on the double file start, heat races, obviously, they're like single file restarts every time at a heat race. Those are the times where this new rule will be put in place. So those are 3 rule changes, and that is the new title sponsor with high limit racing for 2026. Now, let's jump into our interview with Brent Marks. All right, this week on the High Limit Room, we are joined by Brent Marks, the driver of the now Fenton Marks Racing number 19. Brent, it's been a pretty interesting offseason for you so far with quite a few different things going on. Of course, the new announcement here the last week or so, last 2 weeks with the Fenton Marks Racing. You've had some crew guys kind of coming in, some new ones and some other ones leaving and whatnot. And a new paint scheme, going with the yellow car now. It's been a pretty chaotic offseason for you so far.
Yeah, it has been. We've made a lot of changes. Biggest change really is just within our team and just changing some guys around. And our goal really is to I want to go out and win a championship, and I'm just doing everything I possibly can to get me to that point. And unfortunately, sometimes things need to change. So we went ahead with that and moving forward there. So I just spent a lot of years just building Brent Marks Racing up to what it is. And, and we continue to do that. And, now we have Logan Fenton coming on as, one of our marketing partners, and, and his investment into our team to build our program to a championship caliber team is going to, be really rewarding, I think. And then on the flip side, we're also teamed up to do a development team for 30 to 40 races. And so I'm really excited about just everything that we have going on there, and looking forward to what the future brings.
So, Brent, obviously, you just talked about you and Logan Fenton teaming up, and I mean, I think this goes without saying. You don't have to tell us anything you don't want to, or maybe things that are still getting worked out. But how does this change? Murray Marks Motorsports was how you campaigned for so many years. You team up now with Logan Fenton. I mean, you've had crew personnel changes. I think you just alluded to that a moment ago. But I mean, I don't know. Break it down for me a little bit. How does your program change going into 2026?
Yeah, I mean, it really doesn't change a whole lot. Everything's always been run under Brent Marks Racing, and that's what it's been. And we obviously, marketed it a little bit differently with the sponsorships and all that, and so everything really internally stays the same. All our equipment, is the same. I'm obviously the same, the driver, crew chief part, that just stays. So, there's not really a huge change happening. It's just about, reworking the structure of it, and how do we build this and develop it into, something that can go out and win championships. We obviously can win races, but we want to win championships, and, and that just requires, a different thinking, and mindset of, how do we get to that point? So I think, with the changes that we made, we're on the right step, and, we just need to go out there and continue to pursue it, and make it happen. So, and I know we're capable of it. And, mid part of the season, I think middle of the summer last season, we were within like 3 or 4 points out of the championship lead. I mean, we were right there in the hunt, and then we just had some things happen to us that just kind of put us behind a little. And, so those are just some things that we needed to clean up, but we were right there. And that kind of gave me a taste of, hey, we can actually do this. And with the right people, in place, and in the right structure, it can happen. So, that's what I'm working towards. That's my goal. I set goals in my life and in my career, and my first goal was to build Brent Marks Racing up to what it is today, and then my second goal is to go out and win a bunch of races and win the King's Royal, and I just be a top tier team, and I feel like we've gotten to that point. But now my goal is, I want to win a championship, and so I'm working as hard as I can to get to that point, and unfortunately, sometimes really hard changes have to be made to succeed in that matter. So, just try and keep making the best decisions I can, work towards that. That's just where my mindset is right now.
Now, I know we brought you on to talk about High Limit, of course, and the upcoming season, which is going to be very exciting, but I did want to double back a little bit to the development thing, right? I mean, kind of that when that announcement came out, I don't know if anybody really saw that coming. Do you have any details maybe that you could share? Is it a 410 deal? Are they going to run in Ohio? Is it going to be a Pennsylvania thing? Do you guys have any drivers picked out? What exactly are the details on that? Because you guys did put out a pretty good press release, but it didn't really, give us everything.
Yeah, I mean, we're still working on all that. I'll be honest with you, I didn't see it coming either. It's just something that kind of just happened and kind of fell in my lap. And, Logan and I talked about it, and, obviously he owned a team on the World of Outlaw series, and he still has all his equipment. So we were just trying to figure out the best way to make this work. And I'm 35 now, and, I'm getting to that point in my career to where I need to start thinking about the future past driving. And, I hate talking about that, but it's true. Years fly by, and, next thing you know, I'm going to be 40 years old, and it's like, what do I do? And so I love racing. I want to stay involved in it as much as I can. And these were things I've been thinking about is, maybe when I get to that point in my career I start backing off on the driving side of it. Do I, turn it into a development type thing, or what do I do? So this kind of gives me that opportunity to jump into it. And, I'm going to be on the consulting side of it, and a partner in that aspect. And, the way we structured it with, exchanging equipment and things like that for, from my team to the development team, it's, It's going to be very unique, how we work it. But, right now we're just continuing to build that part, the search for what makes sense, right now. We don't want to jump in, head over heels and it fail right away. So, we want to make sure we do it smart and it could range anywhere from 20 to 40 races and, but we'll see. It could even be less in the first year. I really don't know yet. We've had a lot of interest and we've been doing a lot of talking back and forth, with some drivers but the main thing right now is to structure it to where it's going to be successful and kind of put a schedule together to, what's going to work. And that could be a lot of Ohio stuff. And, I do think, you need to get into doing some high limit and World of Outlaw races too. But, there's also a lot of young kids that, have interest in this and, they might not even be of age yet to race a World of Outlaw race or a high limit race. So it's just going to be interesting to see what we put together. But we're working hard on the, on the structure side of it, getting all the equipment in place, getting the personnel in place. I'm going to be out on the road racing high limit, and Logan, has his businesses to run, and he's also going to manage that side of it. So we need people in place there that are going to make it successful and get it from point A to point B, and maintenance and just so on and so forth. So there's just a lot of different things that we have to finalize before we really put something out there. But we're hard at work at it.
Well, Brent, before I ask my next question, I just want to let you know that if you are asking me to drive the car as part of the development program, I accept. You will need to find an extra wide seat. I don't know if they make those, but I'm in. So we can check that box.
As soon as we're done, I'll send you a contract.
Great. I can't wait, and I will send you an invoice. A minute ago, I really was interested in what you were talking about when you talked about, like, hey, obviously we know you want a championship and you want to go after the big money, the accolades, everything that goes along with the championship. But I was very interested in what you said a moment ago about how it takes a different kind of thinking. You guys can win races. You've proven that year after year. You win multiple races on big tours, but it's different to win a championship. I think there's a misconception out there among race fans, maybe young up and coming racers, that, you just got to go like hell every single night and you got to win and win and win. And that's how the championships come. But I don't believe that's your thinking. It certainly isn't guys like Brad Sweet, David Gravel, Donnie Schatz's way of thinking. Those guys will top 10 you to death. Can you tell me a little bit about what you mean when you say it's a different way of thinking to go after a championship?
Yeah, it is. It's just a different mindset. We, built this team, really since I got back into my car in 2021, and from there till I joined the High Limit Tour in 24, our mindset was just go out there and win races. And that's what we had to do. We're running a true outlaw schedule. The only way we're going to make money is winning races. And as a driver, and team owner, yeah, we want to win all the time, no matter what, whether we're racing for a championship or we're not. But, when you're out there and you don't have anything, looming over your head, you don't have to worry about points. You don't have to worry about this and that, or, hey, I'm a third place car right now, but if I push it a little bit extra, I might be able to get the second and make, $1,000 more tonight, or whatever it may be. Those are things that, you can push yourself over the edge and crash your car. And I've been guilty of that. I've running third and I can see the leader right there. And I'm, there's a handful of laps to go and I'm just pushing harder and harder, knowing that I don't have a car to win, but I feel like I can make it up. And, I've stuff it in the wall or break something or something stupid happens. Like, those are things that you just can't do anymore when you're trying to run for a championship. Like, you just have to settle for the third place, as much as like I wanted to win, but you have to realize it's like, I have a third place car tonight. Like, I got to settle for that. And, I think big picture thinking here. But prior to the High Limit Tour, I couldn't think that way. It's like I was out there making money and if I could push it a little bit extra harder and gain that one extra spot, or maybe the leader gets tangled up with a lap car and I'm right there, it just puts me in that position. And, so it's just a different mindset of, where you place your car, how you drive the car. Even the guys that are on your team, everybody's expecting to win every night. And, but then when you race for a series, it's like, well, we want to win every night, but at the same time, like if we have a third, fourth place car and we're not able to get that extra ground made up, like we're just going to have to settle for it. And then that just kind of, becomes frustrating after a while. And I understand that. And, but, big picture thinking, and, that's just the way what we need to do. And let's face it, if we can last year we were more of like a 6th, 7th place car. And it's like, if we can put ourselves in, a 3rd, 4th place car in that scenario, we'll win races. I mean, you see it with David, you see it with Brad and, Rico, and, they're not necessarily cars that would win, don't have cars that would win every single night, but they're right there all the time. And sometimes it just falls into their lap. And that's just, this is what you have to do. So, we need to get our average finish a little bit better there. So that way we are in those positions to win races. But if we are running 3rd and we don't have a car to win and, nothing happens with the front runners there, then, then we're just got to settle for it. So, I think that's where the biggest change kind of comes in is, how you, just change your racecraft a little bit, being more championship minded and just not out there, balls to the wall, wrecking your stuff, tearing stuff up and, getting to, just getting a little ahead of yourself and getting the right rear in the wall and, breaking a wheel or having a flat tire, whatever it may be. It's just, those are things that just take you out of contention. And it's so hard to make those points up that you lose.
Brent, in the past, you've been very vocal about, rules or the state of sprint car racing, tires, wings, track surfaces, things like that. You've put your opinion out there a lot on those types of things on social media. Here recently, High Limit Racing did come out with 3 new rules for 2026. And I was curious your opinion. I don't know if you want to give your opinion on all 3 of them, but maybe one of them that really stands out to you as maybe a good change or a bad change. We have the provisional rule, right? There's only 2 provisionals allowed each night. The restart cone is getting moved back to turn 4. No more cone on the front stretch. And the work area time, only 1 minute for flat tires. No other damage. Which one of those rules do you think you like the most or anything like that? Do you have any thoughts on that?
Honestly, I don't mind either one of them. The only thing I have against provisionals are I think the guy should put it this way. It's like, I understand why provisionals are in place, or I understand why the quickest time goes to the front row of the B main, if they don't transfer through a heat race. But it's like, if something happens to you in a heat race and you finish in the back, you're supposed to be in the C main. Like, I feel like you shouldn't get that time back. And I also feel like if you're set for a provisional, you need to start each event. So, for example, if you're going to be in the C main and you're like, well, I'm going to take a provisional, nice, I don't need to run the C or the B. I think you should get out there and race and try to make your way into it before you're even considered for that. That's just my only thing with the provisional. But other than that, I like the fact that they're moving the cone away from the front stretch. I just never been a huge fan of that. And the work area thing is, I don't know, it doesn't really matter to me either way. I feel like we do waste a lot of time in the work area, especially when you have multiple cars in there. And most time, special circumstances, things generally don't get fixed when like heavy damage, you have your light damage and stuff like that. That's pretty easy to get fixed, but replacing a front axle, and I know it can be done, but, guys generally just don't get back out there when they're trying to replace a front axle. I mean, usually the damage is so extensive that there's too much to replace. So, it's just really a waste of time, but I honestly don't mind, any of the rules, that they changed. I kind of like them. So, and, I'm always a pretty quiet guy. I don't really speak up much. So, I mean, when I do speak up about stuff, it's usually like, it's kind of, I feel like it's just getting out of control. And I like to put my opinion out there, and sometimes it helps, sometimes it doesn't. So, but for what they're doing right now, I'm pleased with it.
Brent, when I came to wing sprint car racing, I'd been in non-wing sprint car racing before with USAC, and then before that, not in dirt track racing at all. And my first year in wing racing was 2022. And, you have a really good summer that year, especially for 4 days in Rossburg, Ohio at Eldora, historical big one. Kings Royal winner, on that Thursday and Saturday of that week in Ohio. Are you a big track guy? And I don't mean that as like, oh, you're not good anywhere else, but clearly, being out in Pennsylvania, you've got Port Royal, you've got some big half miles, you got Williams Grove, and then you always show out really well at Eldora. Are you a big track guy? And if you're not, do you at least see how that, image of you exists out there? I mean, where do you land on that image?
No, I think, momentum-based racetracks, I think it's where we shine, which would always be a bigger track or, maybe a 3/8 mile that's really fast. We definitely shine more there. I was really happy with the improvement we made in 2025 on our short track program. I thought we were a lot better. Hell, I won a race on the West Coast, so nobody ever seen that coming. Uh, um, and we were contention at other races on the West Coast in California, and it's just, we made huge improvements there. But it just boils down to where I got started and where I grew up racing. It's just what I've been used to, what I've developed, my driving style and my program around. And, when we were racing the True Outlaw deal, we did a lot of racing in Pennsylvania, but when we did do some traveling, I generally didn't hit the little bull rings just because, the little bull rings didn't have the big paying races and so on and so forth. So you just kind of stayed away from that a little bit. And we had some great success at some bull rings, but I think a lot of it was circumstantial. So, getting back out on the tour, we really had to hone in on our program to better the short track part of it. I feel like we made huge gains last year, and I feel like we can make even bigger gains this year. So, we really started to concentrate on that. And, one thing nice about it is since concentrating on that, I really haven't sacrificed much what I've got going on the half mile stuff. So, so if we can kind of keep both, hone in both and be more consistent from track to track, we'll be pretty well off.
Yeah, the results were pretty good last year with High Limit, 5 wins, a win at Port, obviously big track, Lucas Oil, Douglas County, 2 smaller tracks, Lakeside kind of right in the middle. So having speed on all 3 of those versions of different size tracks was pretty good. Brent, you have been with High Limit since the very beginning of the national tour, of course, in 2024. And you are now the first guest that we've had on the High Limit Room since getting a new title sponsor, right? It was announced last week, Interstate Batteries is going to be the new title sponsor of the series. And obviously, you are invested in this. You have been here since the beginning. You've got a spot in the High Roller Club as well. So how cool was that to see such a recognizable brand? I'm sure we were all NASCAR fans at some point, and we all remember the 18, Bobby Labonte car, right? That's what I kind of, think of when I think of Interstate Batteries. But how cool is it to see a brand like that coming on board to support smart car racing?
I think it's awesome. I think it shows the growth that High Limit has had in such a short period of time. The invested interest that you're seeing from, major corporations like Interstate Batteries. And, whenever the announcement about, Kubota moving on, it was just, as an owner in the series, like you get a little bit worried about what's going to come along and so on and so forth. And, we're seeing all these numbers and how much High Limit has grown in such a short period of time. But, are other people out there recognizing that, like we do? And this goes to show that, there are plenty of people recognizing that. And that's just awesome. And it's just great to have Interstate Batteries a part of the series. I'm really looking forward to it. And I'm really looking forward to see what they can, do for the series and what the series can do for them. So, it's going to be a great partnership there. Really cool. So there's just so much history with Interstate and motorsports, and I'm really looking forward to it and hoping that, that brings, other corporations into the sport that maybe want to invest in the race teams as well. So I think that would just be really cool and something that we can all grow together. So really looking forward to it, and just thankful for them to be a part of it.
Brent, I can't agree more with the idea that you expressed about how Interstate Batteries clearly must see some kind of benefit to coming on board with High Limit Racing, or they wouldn't spend the money to become the title sponsor. And I think personally, it's a really big deal that Interstate Batteries chooses to come on and sponsor a racing series where not a single competitor on track will have a battery in their race car. That just shows you, I think, the value that being a part of this racing series adds. But Chase brings up a really good point, and he talks about
my point is that they're receiver batteries. Don't forget about those. They do have
those.
receiver batteries.
So technically, they're part of the car. Essentially.
Yes,
receiver batteries, push trucks need batteries. Every truck has battery. I joke obviously about, it's just the race cars don't have batteries, but seriously, Interstate Batteries could have been like, oh, well, your race cars don't even have batteries, but they see the value, they see the potential in being a part of High Limit. To Chase's point, you also saw the value and the potential in High Limit when you signed on to go back to touring and being a national racer for the first time since before COVID. You were a full-time outlaw for a couple of years. You took a break. You're back to being a full-time points chaser. You already talked about the mindset, but I got to ask you, yeah, it's the High Limit Room. Yeah, we're all a part of the series. But I mean, break it down for me. What spoke to you? What told you, hey, I could keep being a true outlaw, racing wherever I want, making the money, going for the big events, but I'm going to sign up to settle down with a series and tour the country with them. What spoke to you about High Limit to make that investment?
I mean, honestly, it's just, this Brad and Kyle wanting to be different, and not the same old as what it's been for years. And it just gets old after a while, and I think it gets boring. And, I really love to see the difference that this has made in our sport. And the new attractions, the new type of people, the new companies coming in, just everything is just so exciting. And I've said for years, after leaving the Outlaw Tour, told my wife this, told everybody this, like, I'm never going back on a tour. Like, I had no interest in doing it. I was happy doing what I was doing. And here comes High Limit. And, I really just honestly love the vision behind it. I wanted to be a part of it. And not only that did I just want to be a part of it, I'm continuing to stay a part of it. And it has nothing to do with, the franchise or anything like that. It's just pure, the pure enjoyment of being in this series and being a part of the growth and the new innovative way of, making sprint car racing great. So I'm excited to be a part of that and want to continue to do it for as long as I possibly can. And as long as we keep continuing to grow like this and making positive direction in the sport, there's no stopping, what everybody is doing. So just proud to be a part of the growth.
Tony mentioned it there. You did the Outlaw Tour. You did it, I want to say 3 years, and went to a lot of tracks, obviously. And that's the name of the game when you get on these tours, is going to a lot of different racetracks. Now you've done High Limit for 2 years. But even now in the third year, I was doing some research for my YouTube channel. Going to be making a video about a season preview for you guys. By my research here, you're going to be going to what looks to be 10 new racetracks this year, which I feel like is kind of a lot, right? How exciting is that? I feel like there's a lot of guys out there that love going to new places, new markets, and seeing what they got, in new states as well.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lot when I've already been to a lot of tracks across the country. So it's, I love going to newer tracks. It's just, it keeps it fresh. It changes how the season can go. And, I just love going to see new areas and, just racing on different surfaces and, meeting new people. I don't know. I love how, every year we seem to throw in a new set of tracks and, or rotate tracks or whatever it may be. I just think it's really cool. So I'm excited about that. And obviously it's always a live and learn situation a lot of the time, especially when, this new into the game, what areas work. I mean, we've been at some last year or some tracks that we went to that I thought was awesome, but, the area didn't really support it. And, and that's fine. I guess it's just a, learning, curve when scheduling races. So, or there's areas that I think we should go to that I would think would be great, but then you have conversations about it and you make those suggestions and then come to realize that it's really not that great after all. And just like, man, so I get how hard that can be. There's a lot of different things that go into scheduling these tracks, but I'm just thankful that we get to see new places and have a great schedule. I mean, I'm really excited for the schedule this year. I looked at it, put it together, and really really liking it. So it's gonna be fun.
Brent, a little while ago, you joked about how, like, yeah, you won out at Douglas County in Southern Oregon on the West Coast, and the haters could say they never expected to see you win on the West Coast. Me, I knew it was only a short time coming. I'm gonna send this photo.
I think I'm my biggest hater because I was the one that would say that. Like, there's no way.
Well,
I just want to finish top 10.
well, you're your own biggest cheerleader. Let's say that because you went and did it, right? I'm going to send this photo to Tyler Burnett, so hopefully he could put it in the show. But on August 21st, which was a few days before your victory at Douglas County Dirt Track, I saw you do something even more impressive on the West Coast, and that was ride your pit bike through the pits at Silver Dollar Speedway with one hand on the handlebars and one arm holding two plates of Mexican food from that amazing taco truck that parks in the back pit area at Chico, and you rode that pit bike all the way back to your team's trailer. I believe you were delivering Bailey some Mexican food, and
you're the only person that noticed that.
Listen. Well, it's only because you asked me for $5 to help you to help you make sure you had enough money for the. No, I was probably asking you.
I'm a race car driver. I don't get miles.
Well, that's not true. You race with High Limit. You make a ton of money. But I just want to know, like, how much practice goes into that? Do you train to ride a pit bike one-handed with enchiladas in the other hand? Like, what went into that? Was that a life goal of yours? Tell me about that.
I just learned from my mistakes. I've had 2 slices of pizza already, just cruising along, and they just blow off onto the ground. Got to turn around and go get back, go get 2 more, and try again. And so I've dropped plenty of food. So
that's tragic.
Just learned by my mistakes. Yeah. And that's why I needed the extra $5 because, as far as that could be my 3rd time back. You just caught me on that one time.
Oh, wow. I didn't mean to get this deep on the show. I apologize. Chase, ask something lighthearted.
Yeah. Let me get right on that. Brent, we've asked all of our most recent guests here on the show, their thoughts on the announcement that came out during the Chili Bowl. Of course, the Fox Sports 1, 6 races coming up live on TV. Just another thing that, when you joined High Limit a couple of years ago, like, you probably didn't think that we'd be on TV once, but maybe not even 6 times, right? The entire history of the series, but here we are going to have 6 races on TV. How big of a deal is that for a driver and a driver owner like yourself?
It's huge for me. It's huge for us. It's huge for our team. Obviously huge for the series. So I just, when I seen that, I was like, man, that's pretty awesome. So I knew that the first Fox Sports 1 event at Eldora went really well, but was not expecting to see 6 races come from it. So I'm really excited about it. I think it's really awesome. It's great for me. It's great for my team. It's great for my marketing partners. Just everybody involved. It's going to be spectacular. So I'm thankful that there's such hard work that's going into growing the sport, growing the series to better the sport, and just seeing these type of things happen. Just goes to show you how hard these guys are working. So, and that's, like I said, it's just, it's new and it's bettering sprint car racing. And, I love racing and love it. This is all I've done my entire life, and the older you get and into this, you want to see it thrive and you want to see it change and, for the better. And that's what they're doing. So I'm just, it's just great to watch.
Hey, I know that last year when you put the yellow bodywork on that number 19M, the reviews, well, they were rave reviews. People were going crazy for it. Chase Rodman couldn't quit talking about it in the booth at High Limit events. It's a sharp look. I believe you called it the banana boat in Victory Lane somewhere. Is that?
It's what my wife calls it. It's what Bailey calls it. So I was just going along with it. Okay. When she first said that, I was like, do you really have to call it that? But it was already hard enough for me to do the yellow car. Hey, I don't like yellow. I just don't like the color at all. My favorite color is actually orange, but so it's close, I guess. No, I don't know. I wanted to make a change, and she's been teaching me to kind of go past my comfort zone. And Heater Designs put that car together. I just kind of gave him the color combo and told him like do his thing, keep it simple, nice, and just make it really nice. And he did a hell of a job, and I loved it, honestly. I've seen it on the rendering and I was like, man, it looks cool, but I'm not sure how it's going to look whenever we get it together. And we got it together. I'm like, okay, I'm cool. I'm cool with this. I really, really like it. And then, like you said, it was just really popular. It was a popular car. So we went ahead and I didn't have any intentions on continuing to keep yellow this year. It's just, it was so popular. I had to, but, I really like what, Heater did this year for us and our design. And, yeah, so, it's cool, man. It was a huge change for me and my identity. And, but I know a lot of people love it.
I was gonna say, if you didn't like yellow last year, don't look at the renderings of your car for this season because you might not like it. But it's good to know that now, when you roll into Whiskey Myers Victory Lane, I can introduce you as the Banana Man, Brent Marks. That'll be fun to do.
There we go.
Before Vegas, it's going to be a different color now. Thanks to
The fans love it. I mean, there's no question about that. They all really, really enjoy whatever you want to call it. But you have gotten that car on the racetrack, of course, this year. Ran Dirt Car Nationals with the Outlaws and kind of shook the car down. Sounds like you guys are going back for Bike Week, if I'm not mistaken, as well. And the results were a little bit mixed, but you guys did have speed. It looked like early in the night. You started the feature second on the front row twice out of the 3 nights over there. How would you evaluate your guys' speed so far out of the gate? And obviously a few more races before we really get things going with what matters over in Vegas.
Yeah, I mean, it was an okay week. It's a shame we only got 3 races in. We had, I felt like we had good speed at the beginning of the night, put ourselves in position. We just couldn't follow up with it, and, in the feature there. But, for whatever reason, Volusia just kicks my butt, man. I'm not that comfortable there. I just have not figured it out to where I can carry the speed that I need to carry there. So, as disappointed as I am with our results down there, at the same time, I'm also happy because, I felt like we have made some progress, there. I felt like the night that we missed the feature, we had a lot of speed in the B main. We just, we found a couple things that happened early in the night that took some speed out of the car, but we fixed that really quickly and, really turned it around there. I think came from like 13th to 5th there in the B, was right there to get the transfer and just was, needed a half a lap, even though that's not going to happen, but needed it. So, all in all, I felt like it was a decent trip for us. So we're going to go back down again for Bike Week, just for the simple fact to get some racing in. I do need some more laps at Volusia. Like I really, really want to be successful there and change our whole program around there. And, so the more time we can get there, the better. And, might help us, for our season as well. So, and then, from there, we're going to head off to Talladega and Magnolia and then straight to Vegas. So just looking forward to getting these few races in before the season starts with High Limit. Really excited to get out to Vegas. Always love going out there and racing and excited to get down to Central Arizona again. That was a really fun racetrack for us last year. And, just excited to get the season started. I'm over winter. I'm over not being in a car. I want to get behind the wheel again and get back on track.
Wow, I'll say that sounds like one of the heavier, pre-high limit season race loads that we've heard. I think we had Tyler Courtney on last week, Giovanni Selzy before that, and Tyler talked about, if it worked out, they may, I think, Chase, correct me if I'm wrong, they were going to maybe look at teaming up and catching them in Talladega and Magnolia, but he said he probably wasn't going to do that.
It was either that or they were going to run the ASCS race at Central Arizona, one of those two. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Well, I mean, that's a lot of racing, and seat time never hurt anybody, right? So I totally see where you're going with that. But you say you're over winter, you're ready to get out of the cold, you're ready to get to somewhere a little bit warmer. Do you guys as a team, do you and Bailey, do you get to do anything fun when you're out on the the western side of the country? Spring training baseball's going on while we're out in Arizona. Do you make time to go do anything when we've got those off days between the races?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of just figure it out as we go. We do spend a lot of time together. It's going to be a little bit different this year, just with the restructure of the team. I'm just going to be more heavily involved than I have been the last 2 years. We just made some changes there, and so time is going to be a little bit more limited for us to do things outside of the race car. So, but we'll always make it work. We'll find time, go out, have some fun, and try to visit some new places that we haven't before. We did some fun things last year, and then there's some things that after leaving the area, we look back and be like, oh man, we should have did this or we should have did that. So hopefully we can find the time to do those type of things as well. So obviously going from track to track across the country, seeing different places and racing is a whole lot of fun and an awesome experience. But the outside life of it all is also really fun too. And there's a lot of things you can experience and just be a part of different things, different regions. So we're going to try our best to do that. So it's just going to be a little bit harder for us this season.
Brent, I wanted to finish off this interview with just kind of a broad question here. You've been doing this for a very long time, and you've done it at the highest level for multiple years now. Later this week, High Limit is going to, I don't know if it's this week or when it's going to be, but here soon there's going to be an announcement of another driver joining the tour, and that should probably be the last one before the season gets underway, which if you combine the High Limit guys and the Outlaw guys, that would make it 32 teams that would be traveling the country racing sprint cars for a living. Is there 4 years ago, did you ever think that there would be a chance we'd see 32 teams and drivers doing this for a living full time?
No, not at all. Honestly, I would have never projected that because I know how hard this is. And, times today are, everything's more expensive today than it was 5 years ago. So it takes a lot of money and resources to run one of these sprint car teams, a lot. And it's really difficult. So to see the fact that there's going to be 32 teams out there just goes to show, what's been going on in this sport and the growth of it. And, and don't mean to be biased here, but let's face it, High Limit, kickstarted that, with starting its own series and upping the purses and upping the championship funds and the franchise and, with the High Roller Club and all that, it forced, World of Outlaws to up their side as well. So the whole sport just grew within a very short period of time. And that's what competition does. It grows the industry. And so I'm just thrilled to see that. And, I'll be honest with you, I didn't know about another driver joining, so it's going to be interesting to see. So, the fact that, you said there's 32 full-time traveling teams nationally, that's pretty awesome. That's cool. I would have never dreamed of that, 10 years ago or even 5 years ago. So it's really cool.
See, Brent, I'm old enough to remember when people said High Limit Racing was going to ruin 410 sprint cars. And
it did not. It grew it. It did.
That's kind of how I feel, but I don't know very much about the sprint car deal. My last question is, will you go on record right now? Will you confirm it and promise to not go back on your word to me as a man right now that if you win the High Limit Championship in 2026, we talked about it on the broadcast. Chase asked me to ask you in Victory Lane somewhere, probably Lakeside. Will you promise right now to wear a yellow suit with a red tie to the banquet in Texas at the end of the year? Say yes right now, please.
I don't know if I have the confidence for that, Tony. But for you, I would.
Ooh. All right, you heard it here first. Championship.
Oh, you didn't say we're shade of yellow, so can take it back.
I didn't.
Yeah, mustard yellow.
Yeah, I didn't know we were debating shades of yellow on the show.
Hey, there's a lot of different yellows out there. I know, because I'm not a big yellow fan.
Man, call Brent Marks Coldplay here, folks, because he's concerned about yellow.
Wow, that's a pretty good analogy or whatever you want to call it there, Tony.
It's called a reference.
Nice reference. So you heard it here first. Brent Marks wins the championship. You'll see him in a yellow suit at the banquet next year. Brent, thanks for jumping on here, and it's great to always hear your insight, and looking forward to seeing you down in Vegas. Good luck at Bike Week and down there at Talladega Magnolia as well, and we'll see you in a few weeks here.
I appreciate it, guys. Thanks for having me on.